Today, we're diving into Baudrillard's groundbreaking work, The System of Objects, and exploring how the things we own don't just serve us, they define us. Baudrillard wasn't just another French philosopher with complex ideas. He was a keen observer of consumer culture who recognized that our relationship with objects goes far beyond their practical use. His insights from the 1960s are perhaps even more relevant in today's world of unboxing videos, Instagram influencers, and digital possessions. We'll explore the structure of objects in our lives, decode the language of consumption, and understand how our stuff shapes our identity. We'll connect Baudrillard's ideas to other brilliant minds like Marx, Barthes, and Bourdieu, and see how their collective insights illuminate our modern digital culture. Let's start by understanding how Baudrillard categorizes the objects in our world. Every item you see falls into one of three categories: functional, non-functional, or symbolic. Consider your kitchen blender. At first glance, it's purely functional. It blends things, simple as that. But look closer. Is it a basic model that simply gets the job done? Or is it a high-end Vitamix that broadcasts your commitment to quality and health-conscious living? This is where Baudrillard's genius begins to shine through. Even the most practical objects carry messages about progress, modernity, and status. Moving into your living room, you might encounter non-functional objects. That artistic vase or the designer chair that's more sculpture than seating. These items mark a crucial shift in how we relate to objects, prioritizing aesthetics and meaning over pure utility. They represent what Baudrillard saw as a fundamental transformation in consumer culture, the birth of sign value. Then there are symbolic objects, perhaps a family heirloom watch passed down through generations, or a luxury car parked in your driveway. Take a Rolex, for instance. Yes, it tells time, but so does the phone in your pocket. What it really tells is a story about success, taste, and social position. This is where Baudrillard's analysis intersects with Roland Barthes' work on semiotics. Objects, like words, form a language that communicates meaning in our cultural system. But how did we get here? How did we move from viewing objects as tools to seeing them as symbols? This is where Baudrillard builds on and transcends Marx's classical analysis. Marx gave us two ways to value objects: use value, what something does, and exchange value, what it costs. Baudrillard added a crucial third dimension: sign value, what an object means in our social world. Think about a designer handbag. Its use value might be carrying things, its exchange value might be several $1,000s, but its sign value, the status and cultural meaning it conveys, far exceeds both. This is where Pierre Bourdieu's concept of cultural capital becomes relevant. The objects we choose don't just show our wealth. They demonstrate our taste, our cultural sophistication, our belonging to certain social groups. Advertising plays a crucial role in this transformation. Watch any Apple commercial. They rarely focus on technical specifications. Instead, they sell creativity, innovation, and lifestyle. This isn't new. It's exactly what Baudrillard observed decades ago. Today's Instagram influencers are simply the latest evolution of this phenomenon, turning consumption itself into a performance art. Let's delve deeper into the language of objects, what semioticians call the system of signs. Every object in your home speaks a subtle language of identity, values, and aspirations. Consider the stark contrast between minimalist IKEA furniture and an ornate Victorian sofa. Both are places to sit, but they speak entirely different dialects of taste and cultural values. This is where Baudrillard's critique of modern design becomes particularly relevant. He noted our growing obsession with form over function. Think about concept cars that will never be driven or avant-garde fashion that could never be worn comfortably. These objects exist primarily as ideas, as statements of possibility rather than practical items. This brings us to one of Baudrillard's most provocative claims. The subject is becoming an object, and the object, a subject. Consider your relationship with smart devices. Your Amazon Alexa responds to you, anticipates your needs, even develops a personality of sorts. Are we mastering these objects, or are they mastering us? This question becomes even more pertinent in the age of social media, where our identities are increasingly constructed through the digital objects we collect and display. Likes, followers, shares, and virtual possessions. The psychological implications of this relationship run deep. Drawing on Lacanian psychoanalysis, Baudrillard suggests that objects function as what Lacan called the objet petit I, the unattainable object of desire that keeps us consuming. Think about the excitement of unboxing a new gadget, and how quickly that thrill fades, leading us to seek the next purchase. This perpetual cycle of desire and temporary satisfaction is what Mark Fisher later termed capitalist realism, the sense that we're trapped in an endless system of consumption and objectification. This system of consumption and objectification has profound implications for our environment and society. Consider the phenomenon of fast fashion. Clothing designed not to last, but to be replaced as quickly as trends change. This isn't just about waste. It's about the acceleration of sign value over use value that Baudrillard predicted. The same pattern appears in our relationship with electronics. We replace phones not because they've stopped working, but because they've stopped signifying currency in our digital culture. The environmental cost of this constant replacement cycle is staggering, yet we find ourselves unable to step off this consumer treadmill. The paradox of our modern system of objects is that more choice seems to lead to less satisfaction. Psychological studies on decision fatigue support what Baudrillard intuited. The endless proliferation of options doesn't liberate us. It exhausts us. When faced with 50 different coffee makers, each promising a slightly different lifestyle signature, we're not experiencing freedom, but rather the burden of symbolic consumption. Each choice becomes a statement about who we are or who we think we should be. This dynamic has reached new heights in our digital age. Social media platforms have created entirely new categories of objects: likes, shares, followers, and virtual goods. These digital possessions function exactly as Baudrillard described physical objects, as signs in a system of meaning. A blue verification checkmark on Twitter or a rare NFT serves the same symbolic function as a Rolex did in Baudrillard's time. It's a marker of status and belonging in a digital economy of signs. But there are attempts to resist this system. The minimalism movement, for instance, can be seen as a direct response to the overwhelming nature of consumer culture. Yet even here, Baudrillard's insights prove prescient. Minimalism itself has become a style, a sign value to be consumed and displayed. The simple white room, the carefully curated capsule wardrobe, these too function as symbols in our system of objects. They signify a particular relationship with consumption, even as they claim to reject it. The implications of Baudrillard's analysis extend far beyond consumer behavior. They touch on fundamental questions about identity and authenticity in a world where everything has become a sign. When we carefully curate our Instagram feeds or choose which photos to display in our homes, we're not just sharing images. We're constructing narratives about ourselves through objects. The line between who we are and what we own becomes increasingly blurry. This brings us to Baudrillard's most challenging question. In a world where objects have become signs and signs have become reality, what happens to authentic human experience? Can we find meaning outside the system of objects, or are we inevitably caught within its logic? The rise of virtual and augmented reality only intensifies these questions. When our experiences themselves become objects to be collected and displayed, what remains of the authentic self? As we conclude our exploration of the system of objects, we're left with both insights and questions. Baudrillard showed us how objects shape our reality in ways that go far beyond their practical functions. He revealed the hidden language of consumption that structures our social world. But he also left us with a challenge. How do we navigate this system consciously? How do we maintain our humanity in a world where everything, including ourselves, risks becoming just another object in the system? Perhaps the first step is awareness, understanding how objects shape our desires, our identities, and our relationships. This doesn't mean rejecting the system entirely. That may not be possible or even desirable. Instead, it means developing a more conscious relationship with the objects in our lives, understanding their role in our personal and collective narratives, and maybe, just maybe, finding ways to write new stories with them. As you look around your own space after this discussion, consider the objects that surround you. What stories do they tell? What values do they signify? And most importantly, how conscious are you of the role they play in shaping your identity and your understanding of the world? Baudrillard's work invites us not just to observe the system of objects, but to engage with it critically and consciously, understanding our place within it while never losing sight of our capacity to shape its meaning. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Baudrillard's fascinating analysis of how objects shape our world and ourselves. Your time and attention in exploring these complex ideas means a great deal, and I hope this discussion has given you new ways to think about your relationship with the objects in your life. Whether you're a student of philosophy, a curious observer of consumer culture, or someone trying to make sense of our increasingly digital world, Baudrillard's insights offer valuable perspectives on how we construct meaning through the things we own and desire. If you found value in this exploration, please share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear about the objects that shape your world and how you understand their role in your life. Until next time, stay curious and conscious about the system of objects that surrounds us all.